The next piece is from a suite for a wind quintet by Charles Lefebvre, a French guy, and it's the canon. It's the slow movement from the suite, and you will hear the various instruments chase each other with this tune. And we find it difficult because it's so, every part is independent. You hardly ever come together vertically. So you'll hear the oboe and the clarinet and the flute and the bassoon. Everybody's taking turns playing this melody and chasing each other. It's a beautiful piece, and I hope we can do it justice. Our last group of pieces is from a suite of 5 Easy Dances by Dennis Agay, who you may know as a composer of many, many piano pieces, piano method books. He's very famous for that. But he also did movie scores and was in Hollywood and was also a conductor. He was born in Hungary in 1911, was a rising musician there, but he had to leave in 1938 because he was Jewish, came to New York, and eventually made a good living as a musician, composer, and so on in this country. So we're doing 3 of the numbers from the suite for wind quintet.
was great. Thank you so much for coming and playing for us. Yeah, while we're doing a transition here, Heather is going to be our next musician. Yeah, we can go up further. Hang on a second. You got to hold it up and get the long bow out here. Yeah. Okay, if there's any doubt what Heather's going to do, you probably have not seen her car in the parking lot. Her license plate is Schubert. That's her very favorite, and so that's what she's going to be playing for us. Do you want to talk about the song a little bit?
Can I talk a little bit? Yeah. I'm a retired professor, so I like it. I retired from teaching French at UCA, accidentally bought a used piano, gone with the teaching, the French, anything. It's Schubert now. I have two short pieces of Schubert. We're going back 100 years from 150. It's the early 19th century, 1800s. So if you feel free to move forward, because I'll try to play loud, but they're really kind of subtle little things. The first one, where's my list here? The first one is a movement from an early sonata when he was a teenager. He only lived to be 31, but when he was about 19, I picked one movement of the sonata, the third movement, which I think is one of the most exquisite things he ever wrote. It was not published till 20 years after his death, and one of the things that happened with Schubert, he was so prolific. He wrote sometimes 100 songs in a week. He wrote 650 songs, operas, mass, blah blah blah. His brother, in whose home Schubert died, had boxes of manuscripts that had never been published. In fact, there's a very interesting story that Schumann, up in Germany, Schubert was in Austria, right, Vienna. Schumann loved Schubert's music, but had never been to Vienna. When he heard Schubert had died, he went down to Vienna and found the brother and wanted to see if there anything that Schubert had left behind. And the brother comes out with these boxes of manuscripts, gives a box to Schumann. Okay, he takes it back. He starts getting them published and played. He got Mendelssohn to play the first performance of the Great C Major Symphony. I mean, that's what he had in these boxes. So this first piece I'm playing for you was maybe in a box somewhere, and it turned up after a while. Publishers like to get hold of these pieces and just throw them together. I'm going to play one movement from this little fake sonata. It's the middle movement. And then I'll play another Franz came along who adored Schubert's music, and that was Franz Liszt. And he made piano transcriptions of about 70 or 80 of Schubert's most famous songs. In case your singer gets a sore throat or something, Martha, then you don't have to have a singer. You can just pull out your Liszt transcription. So I'm not saying her, but she knows a case of a case where we had a singer who. Okay, so this is called Serenade. It's in the last great collection, which a publisher threw together, called The Swan Song, at the end of Schubert's life, so 10 years later. It's about let me just read you the lyrics. It's quite short. I'll skip the German. Here we'll do gently plead my songs through the night to you. Schubert loved songs with little guitar or banjo or something. Through the night to you, into the quiet grove below, sweetheart, come to me. Whispering slender treetops rustle in the moon's light. Of a betrayer's unfriendly eavesdropping, be not afraid, lovely one. Do you hear the nightingale's call? Ah, they implore you. With the sweet of soft laments, they plead to you for me. They understand heart's longing. They know love's pain. They stir with silvery tones every tender heart. Let your heart also be moved, sweetheart. Hear me. Trembling, I await you. Come, make me happy. Come, make me happy. And the first time he says, come, beglücke mich, make me happy, it's in a major key. When he repeats it, it's in a minor key. Come, beglücke mich. And one great Schubert scholar says, well, Schubert probably understood the feeling of not knowing what's going to happen, if she's going to take to him or not. I guess we can all feel feel that a little bit. So, and I have copies of the text afterward if you wanted. So those are my two little. Okay. Two little.
Sounds lovely.
Oh, I forgot to mention one of Schubert's great triumphs is his sense of harmony. He has a sense of harmony that nobody else has. There are 145 accidentals in a 150 page. So you're not in the same key for very long. Whatever key you're in, you may not know.
Good afternoon. So, certainly the greatest composer of the 18th century, and in my opinion, the greatest that's ever lived. Mozart especially lived a very short life, and it was full of disease, pain, but popularity came along with that. Despite that, and a propensity to have a very good time, Mozart managed to write over 800 compositions, including 41 symphonies, 43 major concertos, 30 serenades and divertimenti, and 22 major operas. This was likely enabled because he was a child prodigy, so was able to start very young. And in fact, he started playing harpsichord and other musical instruments at the age of 3. He started composing at the age of 5. He performed at the great courts in Europe at age 6, composed and then conducted his first symphony at age 8, and his very first opera at age 12. So I think, Heather, even he's got Schubert beat. But the last year of his life portended a great future. Unfortunately, it was his last year, but he composed the 27th Piano Concerto, the opera Magic Flute, the Clarinet Concerto, the last major piece he completed, and the most of his amazing Requiem, all before his tragic death at the age of 35. These 4 works alone signaled the end of the classical music era and a welcoming into the Romantic area. Rebecca and I will perform 3 different arrangements of some of Mozart's most beloved works. Non più André is an aria from the Marriage of Figaro. It was written for the bass, and it brings it into the first act. And you'll certainly recognize this aria when you hear it. It always brings the house down when the curtain falls on the first act. In the aria, Figaro is teasing Cherubino, who is quite the rogue, about the count banishing him from the court and sending him to join his military regiment in Seville. Just for the crime of seducing the count's wife, the countess, but even worse, seducing the count's mistress, Susanna. The Adagio from the Clarinet Concerto oozes pure romanticism. It was written for Mozart's friend Anton Stadler, who got him interested in the clarinet, and it was completed just 6 weeks before Mozart's death. Unfortunately, the arranger of the version we are playing put most of the original clarinet part into the flute part, which pains me terribly. Rebecca does a lovely job, though. And then finally, the last Mozart piece is Exsultate Jubilate. It's a sacred motet he composed in 1773. It was actually written for a castrato. It's now sung primarily by female sopranos, since there's not that many decent castratos around these days. Go figure. We performed the last movement, which is the Alleluia, and it's considered the jewel of the 3-movement motet. Its high spirits and wit reflects a young Mozart's own devil-may-care attitude and his elation at the height of his popularity.
We recently lost wonderful pianist Lise Proto, and she had been a member of our club and many other musical clubs in the area and taught UC, etc. We'd like to dedicate this performance to her memory.
Was that a last one, a little Mozart too? Well, thank you all the performers and all of the audience for coming today. Appreciate it. Our last meeting of the year is the first Tuesday in November, which I believe of May, which I believe is the 6th of May. Yeah, don't get ahead of myself. Marianne, I think this is the first program you haven't had to play for. Did you enjoy being part of the audience? Well, thank you all for coming. We have a little dessert and coffee and so forth and fellowship out in the narthex, so please stay and join us. Thank you for coming.